Well, right from inception, the Babajide Sanwo-Olu administration here in Lagos State has identified the need to harmonize the activities of three key ministries with a view to forging an effective drive towards attaining food security in the state. Now, the ministries involved include those of agriculture, environment, and science and technology. Well, Dr. Ademola Adenle is a researcher and development scientist and founder of Africa Sustainability Innovation Academy. Dr. Adenle was co-opted by the governor to spearhead research efforts in that direction. And now he joins us to discuss the end product and what more needs to be done to ensure sustainable agricultural production in Lagos State. Well, you're welcome to the morning show, sir. Good to have you. Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank
morning.
you for having me. And obviously, I'm going to be touching on issues relating to food security. I guess what is actually very important is food security is obviously very important for our economic growth and obviously for socio-economic development. So one of the things that I've done in Lagos State when His Excellency Babajide Sanwo-Olu asked me to look at some of the ministry within the Lagos State. So I look at the Ministry of Agriculture to look at the type of project that have been implemented. Then obviously I look at the Ministry of Environment, Ministry of Science and Technology. But my focus this morning is going to be on Ministry of Agriculture. And obviously, let's look at, for example, building of the immortal rice.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a good place for us to start because we would have all seen the images of those rice pyramids, and they were definitely lauded as a good thing in Nigeria when it comes to food security and the push by the current federal administration to put Nigeria in a position where it grows and creates a lot of what it consumes. So on its face, it is an admirable move. However, there have been some criticisms. If we look at the Buhari administration for one, for example, I know we're here talking about Lagos specifically, but if we do look at it from a federal perspective, bearing in mind inflation and the increases in prices that happens because of it, if we look at a bag of rice, for example, back when the current administration first came into power, I believe a bag of rice was around 8,500 naira,
yeah.
And it's almost quadrupled to the sense that it is now.
It's 30 now.
See, well, even more than. So, when we look at food security, there's definitely an economic side to it too. The prices of food, I'd imagine because of scarcity too, continues to push that prices up, and it feels as though the people, well, of course it's the people on the bottom end of the food chain who are going to suffer the greatest impact. So when we talk about rice, give us an insight on, I guess, the positive and negative aspects of food security specific to rice now.
Right. Well, let's look at what is food security. Food security exists when people at all time have, social, physical, economic access to sufficient, nutritious, and safe food to meet their dietary needs and food preference for active and healthy life. And the question is, does everyone have access to food in Nigeria? The answer is no, because I'll give an example. During the pandemic, over 70% of Nigerian population don't have access to food. And obviously, the cost of goods and services rise up because you have to look at the transportation, you have to look at the farmers, because most of our farmers, they operate at subsistence level. That means they don't have access to credit, they don't have access to farm equipment, and obviously they don't have access to farm inputs such as irrigation, machinery, improved seed. Those are the key components of food security. And what are the key components of security is availability, utilization, stability, access. So in terms of access, if farmers don't produce, we're not going to have access, obviously, and we don't have enough in the market. And that is why the price of staple food like cassava, gari, yam, they go up. So why is that? Why are we having this problem? I think we need to look at the underlying problem that is associated with the food security, which has to do with the policy. Do we have the policy for food security? Let me take you back to, that was there, 1982, if I'm right. The government came up with the idea of special food security, for the special program for food security. So I guess that was supported by Food, Agriculture and Organization of United Nations. So that went on to about 2006, and the name was changed to National Food Security Program, and that went on until about 2013. And then obviously more recently, we're having sort of a National Food Security Council. So the objective of the previous food security programs is to improve yield, to increase the level of income among farmers, to provide training, et cetera, et cetera. But obviously there is mismatch between those programs. The objective of current one is, to tackle banditry. I'm talking about the National Food Security Council, to tackle banditry, to tackle climate change and desertification, to tackle smuggling. So I'm just wondering, why do you have to put all of those under the National Food Security Council? So to me, that doesn't really make sense. That should be separated. I mean, food security should be food security, and that should be coordinated more effectively with appropriate department, appropriate ministry, like Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development. I'm just wondering why that is happening. So the problem is Nigeria doesn't have a cohesive federal policy platform or framework for every Nigerian to attain food security. I'll give an example. So we have what we call Sustainable Development Goal. The whole idea is to achieve food security, and Nigeria is signatory to Sustainable Development Goal. That's Zero Hunger, SDG 2. So the problem is Nigeria don't have that framework, to implement food security. And that's one of the reasons, I'm going to mention names here. I mean, obviously, I'm one of the leading experts in the field of sustainable development in Africa. I won an award presented in my absentia, that was 2020 by the president of Rwanda and Kenya as one of the leading scholars in the field of sustainable development. So my name has actually been put forward to advise, the government on the issue relating to food security. And these are prominent Nigeria. I mean, Mr. Philip Asiodu has contacted the presidency. Mr. Samamuka has contacted the presidency. In fact, have exchanged email with the vice president of Nigeria with regards to this. So the whole idea is, can you put someone who will help you, develop a comprehensive framework to address the food security problem? Because if you don't address the underlying problem, there is no how you can solve food security problem.
Go ahead, Abby.
I mean, you're talking about food insecurity and a mismatch between the framework and the existing bottlenecks. We, of course, could look at conflict-driven areas in terms of you talked about subsistence farmers and stuff like that. So mechanization, proceeds, credit facilities, that's an area that is still they're very uneducated about. So what are we missing? What's the gap there? And why is it taking this long to even approach those existing bottlenecks? Because these are issues that have been existing for quite a bit.
Yeah, everything still boils down to the fact that inconsistency in the implementation of government policy, and obviously lack of political will to address some of these fundamental challenges. So, to be honest to you, when Dr. Adesina was the Minister of Agriculture, he obviously rolled out a fantastic policy, if I could put it that way, with regards to agricultural transformation. Now, I've not seen, since he left the administration, I've not seen someone who is as effective or as vibrant as this minister. So
Are you sure you've been fair to the other ministers?
No, with all due respect.
That's fine. I respect that.
With all due respect to the current minister, which I believe he obviously put in a number of
badly in
exactly.
And a lot of people will ask you that Dr. Adesina, where are the cassava breads that he promoted with the former president?
That's what
these are arguments that
Well, I'm not disputing that, but the problem is, some of the policy, they're obviously not consistent, and obviously.
Don't get me wrong, Dr. Adenle. He was a charismatic, effective, minister.
Don't get me wrong too. I'm not saying the current minister is not working. He's working. But what I'm saying basically, he should surround himself with a network of technical experts.
That's true.
To get the job done.
I agree with you.
What are we wasting time?
I agree. But let me circle back, Dr. Adenle, to where you are now assisting, which is Lagos State. and you wanted to start with the issue of rice at the other time, the Immortal rice mill, which when is completed will probably be the biggest in So I would like you to talk to us about it, you know, given the fact that it was put up to a certain stage by the previous administration, and then this administration is taking it to completion. Tell us how this will revolutionize the rice, you know, the rice sector, if you like, in Lagos State in particular. And then if you may tie it to why Lagosians have not been able to enjoy lake rice, you know, since 2019. That was an initiative of the former administration, and the Kebbi State government reduced the prices of rice so that these two states could collaborate. At that time, when rice was being sold, I think in the market like around 15, the subsidy that they enjoy, which was as a result of the fact that it was in abundance, people were getting it at 8,000, 10,000 naira. Today, there's no more lake rice. Rice in Lagos State is 30,000. I know that Immortal rice is coming, but then before something comes, you need to, you know, exactly. So tell us where we are, and why do you think the lake rice initiative was stopped?
Well, I don't have the thing with regards to the lakes, right?
Okay,
but I'm going to shed light on the Immortal rice. The building of Immortal rice. So the processing plant have been upgraded from 2.3 metric ton to 45 metric ton per day, potentially positioning Lagos as processing hub for value addition. But before Immortal rice can operate at maximum capacity, access to sufficient paddy rice is required on a daily basis. And it will require, Lagos State will require 250,000 hectares of land to grow rice.
We know that
hang on a minute. I'm going.
Your Kebbi and Ebonyi.
I'm going there. I'm going there.
Yeah.
That means Lagos State will have to harness land and water resources to grow about 15,000 hectares of land that are available across Lagos, particularly in Ekpe, Padagri, and Ikorodu.
That's true.
Yet, Lagos State only go less than 1,000 hectares of land. So that means Lagos State will have to outsource rice production from other states. So I'm aware of potential collaboration with Niger.
Yes.
But the problem is the long transportation of rice.
The paddies.
Paddy rice would damage rice grain, right? And you have to take into consideration time saving, efficiency, storage. So in this regard, what is wrong in Lagos State rolling out, an effective framework that take into consideration the partnership with Oyo State, right? Ondo State, Ogun State. These are neighboring states. So Lagos State actually.
I'm aware, Dr. Adenle, that Lagos State has a huge expanse of land in Oyo State, in Osun State, and I believe, in Ondo, for this sort of a thing, knowing his own inadequacy in terms of availability of land.
But there is no clear framework to get it implemented.
What's stopping
Look, hang on a minute. This is a report I wrote based on the examination of what is going on within three ministries.
For Mr. Governor.
For Mr. Governor. Mr. Governor has not even called me to talk about this report. I'm quite disappointed about her because I put in so much effort into this. I wasn't even asking Kobo money from Mr. Governor. So he asked me to do it, and I've done that. But to discuss it with the member of cabinet, I've submitted it. And he called me. We've exchanged a number of calls, right? But we have not been able to discuss it. Again, that's very important. There are issues that I've actually there are things that I've put together in this report.
Tell us in few words how you think that Lagos will benefit from this report.
Great. Innovation. It's very important. Lagos State put together a 5-year agricultural roadmap last year. Innovation was not adequately articulated. Right? Innovation is key for agricultural development and strengthening all aspects of agro-value chain, including crop production, fishery, livestock, processing and distribution. The success of 5-year agricultural roadmap will be largely determined by degree of innovativeness, which is not there. What is innovation? What I mean by innovativeness? strong investment in research and development program. Lagos State lack it. As says the Ministry of Science and Technology. Don't you know Lagos State has GDP of 94 or almost $90 billion?
Yeah.
Which is even more than that of Ghana, $75 billion, which is even more than that of Angola, $70 billion. How can Lagos State not have, a robust science and technology policy? But I'm not surprised anyway, because Nigeria doesn't have a strong innovation system. As a percentage of GDP, right? Research and development account for less than 0.2%. Compared to an average of 2.2% for an OECD company or industrialized country.
Dr. Adenle, from
Yes?
what you have done,
Great.
what will you identify as the lead, area where Lagos State has comparative advantage? Is it in fish production? Is it in rice? Is it what would that be?
I think
As far as food security is concerned.
I think in rice production, Lagos State can do a lot because they have arguably the largest rice mill in sub-Saharan Africa. But of course, innovation is always very, very important. So even I was listening to Mr. Governor's speech during the launch of the 5-year agricultural roadmap.
Yeah.
He was saying that investment in agriculture is projected to be around $10 billion. But if innovation is well harnessed and scale up, it's going to be around $40 to $50 billion annually. So,
for the state or nationally?
For the state. For the state. It's a massive project. But having a clear framework to get the job or to implement it, whatever the Lagos State is trying to achieve as far as rice production is concerned, is obviously very important. And that's why I'm trying to draw Mr. Governor attention to. Again, that's very, very crucial because...
Are you experiencing frustration in
Sounds
getting
like
this,
it
report
sounds as though you
implemented?
Look,
or even been responded
Or
to.
accepted, first and foremost.
we should see agriculture as critical element of economic growth.
It's part of the theme agenda.
Lagos State can leverage on that because you can't have a multi-billionaire rice mill project and you don't have a clear framework to get it implemented. And that's what I'm trying to tell Mr. Governor. And that's very, very important. Okay, hang on a minute. Mr. Governor was talking on China, I think that was about some days ago, was talking about, putting the rail lines in place by the quarter of this year. Yeah. But sometimes I feel like, okay, if this rail line break down or we have some sort of problem with this, do we have repair and maintenance department to get that done? And I'm linking that to innovation, right? If that they should invest in transportation tech sector through development of R&D programs across relevant ministry. It's we can't do without innovation. And that is very, very important. So, and that's one of the reasons why I've been trying to draw attention of Mr. Governor to this important aspect of economic growth. Innovation is key to economic growth.
Right, Dr. Adenle, you talk about innovation, and we could, the average Nigerian could get lost in semantics when we're just talking numbers and figures and research and all that. For the average Nigerian, they just want to know how affordable is staple food for me. How am I going to place food on my table? How do I secure my food? So to say, how close do you believe we are to that reality, in spite of all of the issues that we have not addressed right now? And of course, if you would very briefly, because we don't have a lot of time, run us through the Sustainability and Innovation Academy, which you're at the forefront of course.
Yes, so we stay far from achieving food security or food sufficiency in the country. So some of the fundamental challenges I've highlighted or explained earlier need to be looked into in terms of providing, comprehensive policy in terms of building infrastructure, storage facility, post-harvest technology, creating access to loan, and then human capital development is part of this, component to make things work. Those things have to be put in place, and then you can't just say it will work like that. Bringing those who have expertise in this key aspect of, a food system or a sustainable agriculture is very, very important. And that's what the government is lacking. And that's got to be done. So I've started an initiative, which is a non-profit initiative. It's about providing cost-effective, affordable, and innovative solution to some of the challenges we face in Africa, not only in Africa, not only in Nigeria, because I'm trying to start my work in Nigeria because I'm from Nigeria. I have to start from home, and that's one of the reasons why I've been trying to work with various government officials in terms of implementing, innovative solutions to address some of the fundamental challenges we face in agricultural sector. That cut across other fields, health sector, energy sector, and then research and awareness, research awareness and education is part of the things I'm looking. It's an interdisciplinary approach of solving problems, and we're going to start from somewhere, and that's one of the reasons why I'll give an example. I was in Oyo State, that was last week, or a couple of weeks ago. I went to talk to farmers. They identified some of the challenges, like I've mentioned earlier, in agricultural sector, and they're asking for government for support, for assistance, to ensure that they're able to produce agriculture product on their farm. Because without helping farmer, obviously, we're not going to have sufficient food in the market. And we have to address the sort of problem at the bottom first before we start looking at other aspects of the...
How will you assess the anchor borrowers scheme of the federal government, which everybody seems to be celebrating, the intervention from the Central Bank of Nigeria, and how farmers have been empowered to key into rice production? You can't deny that we have not made progress.
There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
They are working towards transforming the agricultural sector. Yeah. But more needs to be done. Okay. More needs to be done in terms of the key areas of agricultural development. And that's what I'm drawing government attention to.
Mm. Does the Commissioner for Agric in Lagos State have this report?
Well, I mean, I don't know if Mr. Governor shared the report with the Commissioner for Agriculture. So obviously, I have to report to Mr. Governor, which is what I've done. I've sent it to him, but I don't know if that's happened.
Can I ask when you sent it to the governor?
Oh, good question. I guess that happened sometimes around April last year. Okay. And I must be honest to you, government was trying to set up the meeting with the cabinet member to discuss this report. But for some reason, that's not happened because he asked me to speak to Mr. Boyega. We exchanged a number of calls.
Understood.
So for some reason, that's not happened.
So if in April no, I understand. I don't want to put you in a sticky position with the governor either. But if you're saying that you were commissioned by the governor to put together this research, you submitted it in April, some 8 months ago. I don't know if we can ask you, but in July, I think it was, the Lagos State was floating some sort of idea to do with 2 million. Was it bonds, notes or something? 2 billion naira worth of agricultural commodities notes.
Oh yes, oh yes. We actually had
the commissioner on
here to speak about
to talk about that. Yeah. What are your thoughts on that program? I mean, that was of course in July, so it's some 6 months ago now. But what are your thoughts on that?
I'm not aware of what is going on at the Ministry of Agriculture in Lagos State, so I don't think I'm going to be able to shed light on that because they have different sort of program. Different type of program at the Ministry of Agriculture, but whether it's sustainable or not is the question, because different administrations come and they implement different projects. And one of the things I've been emphasizing is, ability of government to sustain any kind of viable project is obviously very important to economic growth. So there are also projects that have been implemented under the Ministry of Agriculture, being supported by donors, they are not sustainable. It's one-off project. And that's one of the reasons I've been saying, look, we must be able to implement a project for a long period of time. Not only implementing it over a long period, we must be able to assess it. Are they making any sort of impact? It should be measurable. Those are the kind of things we need. There are no data to obviously follow up some of the projects that have been implemented in part, the kind of impact it has had in terms of socioeconomic development. So those are the kind of things we need to get right. I think Lagos State Ministry of Agriculture is trying its best, but it could do better. And that's one of the reasons why this sort of report is very important, to ensure that, projects under Ministry of Agriculture are effectively implemented. And that's just it.
Understood. Well, Dr. Adenle, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I wish you the very best in getting this report accepted and hopefully implemented.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.